Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. And today is yet another special one because we have three generations on this episode. It's me, Bibi, your host, joining in with my co host, Keisha, today. Keisha and I are 10-year apart, and our little guest here, Licypriya Kangujam, who is one of the youngest environmentalist and climate activist and the founder of the child movement from India. She's 10-year old, and now you will believe why I mentioned three generations on this episode. So thanks, Licypriya, for joining us today. And before we even start with our questions, tell us how this passion for reversing the climate change started.
So first of all, thank you so much, ma'am and sir, for having me here today. Well, my name is Licypriya Kangujam. I'm 10 years old, Indian climate activist, and also the founder of the child movement. I'm fighting to save our planet and our future. I'm studying in grade 5 in Ryan International School, India. I was born in Manipur, which is a small, beautiful northeastern state of India, bordered with Myanmar. But I have grown up in Bhubaneswar, Odisha for my schooling. My home in Odisha was hit by Cyclone Italy in 2018 and Cyclone Fani in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the incidents later, I moved to Delhi, and again, my life became very messy due to the high air pollution level there. So all such incidents I have met in my young life turns me into a child climate activist.
Yeah, I mean that's really I won't say, yeah, it's inspiring, but Licypriya, that you have felt the climate change elements yourself, which was very recent storms which India saw, and especially the part of Odisha where you were born and brought up, and air pollution, obviously that's a different thing altogether. So tell us something about this child movement initiative. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, of course. Well, when I was just around 6 years old, in July 2018, I got a chance to attend one United Nations disaster conference in Mongolia.
Wow.
And I met many world leaders, great scientists, experts, policymakers, and many climate activist friends there. So it was a life-changing event for me. And after return back from Mongolia in July 2018, I have started my own organization called the Child Movement to call our world leaders to take urgent climate action as soon as possible, from the paper to become action. And also we plant many trees with many school children, climate activists, and with many young people, and with many children's parents, and with many people. And also we educate people about climate change, what do trees give us. Like, we educate them, we give them more knowledge about it. And also we campaign about climate education in the schools.
Wonderful. Awesome. Keisha, over to you. Do you
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for explaining a little bit about your movement, and it's good to hear that at least you are part of the catalyst in making a change with the young people, and also people based in India, and of course hopefully around the world as well, right? So now I want to talk more about your expertise. So when we read an article, or some of the articles that we found, the researchers state that air pollution increases in Southeast Asia combined with pollution cuts in Europe. And then if you see the recent news, extreme heat waves in India and Pakistan also causes power and water shortages, the worst one in 100 years. In your understanding, why do you think so?
After 2 years of doing online classes due to COVID-19 pandemic, we have finally started joining physical classes in our schools, and meeting friends, our teachers in schools is indeed, as a student, But the rising temperature is posing a new threat in the form of heat waves. Now the average temperature of India looks like 45 to 46 degrees Celsius, and last year it was recorded monthly average temperature of 37.5 degrees Celsius. So sudden increase of temperature of more than 7.5 degrees Celsius is not a joke. And this is not normal. Today also hit by 42 degrees Celsius. So the root cause of the current spell of heat waves in India and Pakistan is due to the climate change. Heat waves are common in the last few years due to the rising in emissions, global warming, and local heat.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I completely understand where your explanation, and you now having schools physical, you can really feel it. The temperature is warmer, and of course it affects the way you study as well. So and since you mentioned that you participated with meeting some of the world leaders, and means you are exposed to more knowledge about this issue as well. Can you maybe can you share a little bit to our listeners what are some ways to reverse or rather control further devastation of this climate change, or in a change in temperature per se?
So we need massive tree plantation in our region, as planting tree is the ultimate solution to fight climate change. And also we need to revive those forests now transformed into deserts due to the deforestation and many mining activities. At the same time, we need to reduce our carbon emissions and shut down all the coal power plants and thermal power plants and replace it by clean solar energy. And I want to see more bicycles on roads instead of more motor vehicles. Riding a bicycle means there will be zero carbon emissions, zero air pollution, and zero traffic problems. And it will save our valuable green spaces from development. This will also increase more green spaces in the cities and many urban areas. And cutting down trees in the name of development is never a symbol of development of human minds. We have to stop felling down trees. This will help to change our future.
Yeah, spot on actually. And sitting here, we can't until and unless we take activism into our lives, like what you are doing, Licypriya. We just can't imagine that 7.5 degree difference than last year and this year, and it's not a joke. So everything you said is spot on. I really like the fact that you said more cycles on the road and less of vehicles, which will drastically impact this. But I mean, I just want to understand from a common man's perspective, which is you, me, Kesha, and everybody. So what can we do at home, or what can we do as common people to reverse this climate change? I mean, I know that there is action needed from industrialists and governments, which you rightly said. However, my question is, how can we bring an impact to reverse this climate change?
So children must tell the parents that they should walk if it's nearby, or they can use the bicycle for short distances, or they can use the public transport like buses and metros for long distances. And also children must tell the parents that they should not use single-use plastic at their homes. Absolutely. They must not throw plastic and garbage on streets, oceans, rivers, seas, and many other places. And if they cut one tree, then plant minimum 10 to 20 trees, because as you all know that, and also I've said that planting tree is the ultimate solution to fight the climate change.
Absolutely, Licypriya. Yeah.
And all our little things can make a huge impact. Big difference.
Yeah. We totally agree. And you know what, I had a following question in my mind, which was like, I read one of your posts on Instagram about,
Mhm.
I think that event was in Hyderabad, and you spoke about educating adults.
Yes, the
So I'm not,
lottery.
yeah, I'm not going to ask you that question, because you just mentioned that children should tell their parents what to do, because obviously parents will listen. And though we all know it, but I
Mhm.
just can't imagine the intensity of work which you're doing. And I can already think of my daughter who keeps checking on me about each and everything. So yeah, great point. Kisha, do you have any question?
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much, Bibi, for elaborating that as well. And it's an interesting perspective now that the younger generation have to
yeah,
school the older generation when it comes to this, because we are the one who are affected heavily by it. Like what Licypriya mentioned just now at school, she really feels how the temperature affects the way she studies. And yeah, this not only applies to her, but like other students as well from all around the world. So speaking of around the world, let's talk more about other countries as well, and some of the views that are shared by numerous articles and also the community. There are a lot of articles and publications that talk about rich countries being more actually responsible for climate crisis than the developing country. So, Licypriya, tell us about your view on this statement. What do you think?
Yes, obviously, rich countries and developed countries are responsible for the global climate crisis. They have to invest more on the smooth transition of carbon economy to green economy. They have to take the lead. Meanwhile, India is doing its best and leading the change under the leadership of PM Modi's as a role model in terms of accelerating solar solar power or increasing green cover.
absolutely.
Just see India. We are just responsible only for 6.8% of global carbon emissions, but we have faced 300 climate disasters, 80,000 deaths, and 1 billion
Wow.
cost, and
Wow.
1 billion people victims in the last 2 decades, as per as the latest United Nations report. This is unacceptable at any cost. This is the same situation in Africa too. We're just the victims.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and you know
Hmm.
what, Licypriya, the facts that you are stating are again not a joke,
Yeah.
and they are very serious. And
Hmm.
these opinions has to be expressed with that amount of intensity and seriousness. So, because again, it's not a joke. People losing life because of all these. Now, let me ask you one question. The question is that at Spill the Tea, we read, both Kisha and I, we read your Instagram post, and we are really inspired by you, like many thousands and thousands of others. Now, when it comes to sharing opinions or views on climate crisis, there are chances when you have to counter or face negative comments as well, or probably a backlash. So, and I'll give you an example. There was a post which you shared that rather than debating between non-vegetarian food or vegetarian food or being vegan, there can be a debate on climate crisis. And then probably somebody mentioned there that non-vegetarian food is the biggest contribution of climate crisis. Now, I'm not denying it. However, there
Hmm.
are people who don't know that there are ways how you can still consume non-vegetarian and still take care of the climate. Again, that's
Hmm.
not for a debate right now. What I'm trying to ask is that there might be chances where you get a lot of negative comments or backlash
Hmm.
to your views. How do you handle those situations?
Honestly, I don't like to give any comments or opinion on the food we eat, either veg or non-veg, or on the type of vehicles we drive. So this is purely depends on the economic and cultural situation of a particular uh, family or community or a religion belongs.
Yeah.
For example, it will be very hard for you to tell tribal people that to living in many hilly areas, like it's an example that they are living in Manipur or in Nagaland or in
Yes.
Meghalaya, that to just eat veg. But this is like impossible for you to tell. So
Right.
like eating habit is nothing going to do with the climate crisis. So I don't believe too much on it. And eating meat or vegetables or fruits uh, is practicing since the Stone Age, and this is like survival for the fittest or the food chain ecosystem, or our or the food chain on or our ecosystem, and we should better discuss on other key issues causing climate change, and that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right. We should first educate ourselves with the right thing, and not kind of
Mhm.
enter into just being, debate on something which won't help us. And that also reminds me, Kisha, you did a episode with I think the episode was called Seaside with seafood sustainability, seafood with Emily DeCosta.
Yeah.
She's again one of our environmental activist and scientist who researches on seafood. She's based in Canada, and we actually did a episode on that. And she made us aware, and our listeners, that how sustainable seafood can actually save the oceans and not destroy it. So today,
Yep.
I think the problem is that we just read something or we listen something, and we just make keep it in our mind. So but you're right, Licypriya. I think this is
Mhm.
very important, the right knowledge. Kisha, over to you if you have any
Yeah.
questions here on this part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thanks so much. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think we are bombarded with so much information, and then usually we don't have the time to filter those information, so we just, interpret it differently or like immediately, and we don't know the reason why we do that as well. We're just bombarded with constant new information, and so let's talk about. I want to talk more about your experience. Just now, you mentioned meeting world leaders, activists, advocates from around the world, and for sure I saw that you had the opportunity to present a speech as well, to encourage change basically, and you have several opportunities, and it has created some changes as well, which is great.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you, do you think our world leaders are listening to climate activists like yourself and others, um, or is it still, they're still like just getting the information for now, and just maybe plan it later? What do you think?
Like not at all, they are not listening to us, they are just listening, but they are doing nothing, full of empty promises and full of beautiful speeches, but full of claps, but less actions. So we want is urgent climate action, and we don't want any beautiful speeches. We want is the action from them, and yeah, they must work out to end the fossil fuel economy first.
Yeah, they must work to end the fossil fuel economy first. uh, I mean, I'm losing words here, and I'm just thinking that uh, India, I'm thinking about our country, that we are trying to do a lot of things to control this devastation. However, you're right.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you're right. When it comes to world leaders, when we think about the world, there's a lot of talks and less of actions. And that is something
Mhm.
which we don't want. I have a bonus question for you before we wrap up this. We are right at the end, but I just want to ask you, out of my own, urge.
It's
What do
fine,
you,
it's fine.
yeah, what do you think at that I and Keisha as adults right now can do to join children like you and really, voice our opinion and do something? What do you think, Licypriya, we should do?
Like we can plant many trees with
Okay.
many friends, like with your friends or with many people or even with your family. It would be great if you do it. And like
Okay.
we can even do climate strike at our home or in many places that we want, or even one day we can do it together.
Oh yeah, we will love to do it together.
We
Okay.
can
Yeah, we
even
got an
do a
invitation
climate
already.
strike.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got an invitation from you already.
Invitation already. Yeah. So we have to plant more trees. We have to do a lot of peaceful strikes, because the more we do, our governments and the industrialists will be forced to listen. And one thing that you mentioned, and we are going to highlight that, that use of plastics. So we as consumers, we as adults, and it all depends on what we buy. So if we consume less plastics, I think that is also something that we are giving back to the environment. So Kisha, back to you. Sorry, I just hijacked this.
Yeah, looks like BB is ready to be a part of this,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and regarding plastic and us as an end consumer, I think sometimes we always focus on recycle, reuse, and just those, but we forget to refuse. Usually we can just say no, no thanks. I don't need the plastic. It's just something so simple that can really make a big difference. Like for example, when you're buying something, just say you don't want plastic. When you're taking away food, there's no need to provide me with spoon, cutleries, and all this, right? So that's something that sometimes we forget. Again, like what she said, small changes can make a big difference. So yeah, so now that we know about some of your views and more about climate change and how we can change, now to wrap up, before we wrap up, we want to know a little bit more about you as well, Licypriya. So we want to know, like, you are very young and you have passion, to make a change, and of course that is awesome, and you have make some of us more aware about these changes as well. So I want to ask, how do you balance your studies, activism, and family life?
So, when I started my movement, means my activism, my mom didn't support me at all because she was worried about my education, and it's really very hard to manage both the studies and activism. I have to attend schools every daily, but not Sunday or any holidays, from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So I accepted many programs, events, or any conferences, invitation only on Sunday or any other holidays, and I accept those which are very important, like the United Nations or any government important events like that. And for my protest, I decide to do only during my free time, like the afternoon or the holidays. But I play usually daily with my friends from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. and in the nearby park with my friends. Yeah, and for media shooting or for any interview, I do it only in free convenient time or any in mutual understandings like that. And also many people love me and also invited me in various programs, conferences, and events in various countries and cities in many continents. But I have to wake up even in the midnight to catch the flight or the train. So I missed many sleeps in the nights, and I sacrificed my beautiful childhood because of this climate crisis. So really, I didn't need to do all this kind of activism if our leaders listened to the other activists or they did the right thing for our nature. And also most of the time I read my books in the airport or inside the flight when I'm traveling, and also sometimes at home. And I did homeschooling by calling private teachers at home to fill to fill the gap of my school as both education and my activism, as it is equally important for my future career.
Yeah.
It's very hard to challenge for me to manage both. And also, I would like to tell you all that my hobby is painting, and I draw lots of arts every day, and I do many crafty things.
Wow.
And also, I love to swim, do sports things like badminton, or do skating, or play basketball with my friends, and even to play with my sister. And like every day, it's like my daily routine to play with my sister.
So, do you think your sister will be the next youngest child activist, climate activist?
If she's into it, and like, I think she will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, it was a lovely talk, you know, and for our listeners there, I hope you all learned something really new, and you are equally inspired like we are with Licypriya's story. And we will definitely share all your social handles, Licypriya, when we release this episode, and so that more people are able to see the good work you are doing. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining.